How you doing, everybody? Tim from SKIREXMEDIA coming at you with a little off-season shenanigans again. Just a tad bit late. So for those of you listening to this first run, which would be on the 19th for general audiences, 16th for the Patreon audience, that's of July, you'll know that I'm a week behind. That's right. For a bi-weekly show, I am now on the third week. That's when this is coming out. 3 weeks from the last one, not 2 weeks, which was my intention. And if I had, had better notes, maybe kept up with my release dates, because usually I do. If you look at my calendar, you can see podcast recording, sessions, those appointments with people. And then there's the release date notes, release it on this day. And I can set that up early so it goes out when I want it to. And that's all awesome and great. But I blew it thinking that yesterday, Wednesday the 12th, was not the right day, and it was. So we missed a week. That was on me. It shouldn't happen again. I'm going to pay more attention. I'm going to take care of things and, make sure I get them out on time where I'm supposed to. Now, here's the thing. This week, I had an episode I wanted to talk about the Adam Ezra concert up at Whaleback. I wanted to talk about mini golf. I want to talk about a couple things, and that's all well and good, and I can do that. But this week, as you know, last week, for those when you're listening to it, but just the last couple days, this past week, Vermont has flooded out something fierce, some of the worst flooding in some areas since Hurricane Irene back in 2011, 12 years ago, right? So it is bad. It is bad, and you almost kind of feel bad. It's raining. It's been raining a lot here in New England and in the Northeast. We know that. It's been raining a ton and a ton and a ton, and this all of a sudden it just hit so hard that towns were flooding. If you have been keeping track, you saw the town of Londonderry. I drove through there the day before some of those pictures were taken, so that was a little weird. Little weird knowing that I just drove through what has several feet of water, or what looked like several feet of water on the road. I shouldn't say several feet because I really don't know. Maybe 3, 4, maybe several works. It just kind of came out of nowhere. And I guess it's time to speak on it. It's been over a week now since I'm talking to you in the future, or what's the future relative to where I'm sitting right now. I'm recording on this on the 13th. Instead of putting out the other episode I wanted to talk about the flooding. I'm putting this out on the 13th. I'm recording on the 13th, putting it out on the 19th and the 16th, or the 16th and the 19th, depending on which audience you are, Patreon early subscriber, or a general audience person. It's going to rain again this weekend. Severe thunderstorms. We already have a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm supposed to go hiking again on Mount Wantasticate like I did last year with the same group of friends tomorrow morning, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it because of the rain and the thunder and the lightning, and who knows. But we're going to talk about more than that. What we're going to do now, almost 4 minutes in, is now I'm going to do my ad reads. First and foremost, as always, let's talk about Whaleback Mountain. Whaleback Mountain, though they do close, they don't have an off season, man. They are going year round now. And right now they're doing summer camps. Right now you could go take a walk up the mountain. Right now there's a concert series getting ready. Right now they could do your event. Whatever you want, whatever you need. If you need some outdoor fun, beach volleyball, or sand volleyball, I should say. Disc golf, the course is halfway finished. It should be finished, I think, this summer. And if you go at the right time, you can watch them put up a new lift. A brand new surface lift there at Whaleback. It's going to be amazing. Whaleback Mountain goes year round, and of course during the winter, ski it to believe it. Also, you know me, I work with St. Custom Skis and Snowboards. Do you want something that's custom made to you, to your specs, your length, your width, your graphics, your whatever? You go to St. Custom Skis and Snowboards and they can build it for you. SaintSkis.com, check them out if you would. They're up there in Gore, New Hampshire, and they source a lot of their stuff locally. So there you go on that. Now that I've done the reads, let's talk about the flooding. Now, it wasn't just Vermont, just so you know. Parts of New York, parts of New Hampshire, like places had dams breaking. Places had towns that just went completely under. Here, if you've seen a lot of the pictures, if you've been following it, you saw that Londonderry, Vermont, down by Bromley, down by Magic, down south of Okemo, not far from Stratton. It was underwater. It looked like a river delta or similar to it, just underwater. And then north of that, speaking of Okemo, you saw Okemo was just a mudslide at their entrance, and then the town of Ludlow, underwater. You've all heard about the Killington mudslides, underwater. Queechee, they have that video of the dam and the river behind Simon Pierce over there in Queechee town, just running with a hay bale, a big ass hay bale, just running down the river. Our state capital, Montpelier, completely flooded, just knee deep water, people trucking around in kayaks and canoes just to get around for a day. It was ridiculous. It was stuff you don't see this side of a hurricane typically. And I know I've been through many a hurricane, 3 hurricanes lifetime. One, the Irene. Granted, it wasn't as bad in Jersey as it was up here, but I was through it. And then Sandy, one of the worst to ever hit the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic. I've seen flooding of all shapes, sizes, concoctions, and it did some damage. Now, here's the plus. The plus is at the time of recording this, 2 o'clock, 10 of 2 on July 13th, is that there were no deaths reported. Tons of rescues, some injuries, but no deaths. This one looks like mostly property damage, and it's so far, and again, I don't know, I can't say. I don't, the roads and stuff, sure, hard, but it looks like some of the property damage might not be something people can't handle. You know what I mean? Like this is they're going to handle it, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm just trying to say that, I think people are going to be all right. I think we're going to be all right. It could have been a lot worse. But speaking of that, the property damage sucks. Shout out to all the people who did have some damage to their homes and their businesses. I know where I am. I have the Connecticut River not far. I have the White River right across the street, but I sit 50, 70, maybe even 100 feet above it. So, and it's really wide. So it really wasn't a problem, this part of it, while it was a problem in other parts along the White River where it's right along there, where it runs right into the valley. I mean, that's what a lot of these towns had in common. They're all at the bottom of the hill, and that sucks. Like, I'm pretty low. My house sits at about 400 foot elevation, I think, if I remember correctly, and that's pretty good. I can run for the hills. But Londonderry is at the bottom of a hill. Ludlow is at the bottom of a hill. The parts of Killington, though Killington's mudslides did happen higher up, still some of that stuff went running to the bottom of the hill. Montpelier is at the bottom of a hill. Although it is up a little bit higher in elevation from here, it is up. It is at the bottom of like hills and stuff. Look at the topography. And if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Plus the rivers were getting so big. It was something to see. I was driving in it the day it happened, the morning it started, and it took me forever. I was in Keene, New Hampshire, which south of Keene, New Hampshire, in the town of Winchester, that had a dam break. Not just crest, but break, I think. Their roads are still closed. Tons of roads still closed. But I'm driving in it, trying to, I took the highest highways I knew I could take, including the interstate, so I was off the low roads. And let me tell you something, man. That rain was the driving rain. It was hard. It was loud. It was keeping cars slow on the interstate. It was kind of odd to pass 2 state police officers on a day that nobody was going to be doing anything wrong on the interstate. They had bigger fish to fry. They had to go pull some people, out of the real bad areas. Also, shout out to our EMS workers here and around this the Northeast who have had to deal with this. Police, fire, rescue, all of you. Many hospitals that did. Again, no deaths and not a lot of serious injuries reported. A lot of rescues, but I think they're just picking people out of the water, and I think everybody's okay. But it was something to see. I didn't go, and I still haven't gone to any of the bad places, the places that got it bad, I should say, because it's not time for me to do that. I don't live there, and I'm not going there just to take photos. That's not my job, even though I am a journalist, even though I am media. That's not my place. and it needs to stay safe. People need to stay safe, and I need to stay out of the way. By me going down there, I could just cause problems. And that, honestly, that includes helping out. I'm sure there's people who want to just run in there and help, but ask yourself, what can I do? You know, there's professionals rebuilding roads. There's professionals helping clean and rebuild homes. There's EMS, like I said, and then there's the people who actually live in these communities, who live there, who know the area, and they're trying to clean up. If you are asked to help, great. If not, stay out of it. Again, it's when you're hearing this, it's been close to a week, even a little bit more than a week, depending on which day, the 16th or the 19th you're listening to this. Waters have receded. We don't know what's happened yet for the weekend with the next batch of thunderstorms and rain. That's going to rain for days and days and days. We don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know. And by now we might know because some of us have talked about it, but it was brutal just to watch it. Again, I've seen this stuff before. I've been in hurricanes. I've been in flood zones. I've been in blizzards, whatever. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I've seen it before, but to see it every time and know the mess that it's causing, it sucks. It's a pain in the ass. And you don't want people to get hurt, and you don't want people's lives to be, just wrecked. As far as we know, again, it's fairly easy cleanup. Like, no houses went down that I'm aware of, that I've seen, reports of. Like, again, no serious injuries, no houses being destroyed. Driveways, yards, flooding into basements in homes, stuff that's really gross and hard to clean and does destroy some stuff, but at least your house isn't gone. And I'm sure a couple people might have said that. Moving forward, though, this is Vermont. In Vermont, we are a hearty people here, so we just keep on going, man. We just keep doing things, and we keep cleaning up, and people know how to do things, and we're very close here. Tightly knit bunch of people, so people are helping out, people are cleaning up, and that puts us to the thing that kind of makes this really more speak to SKIREXMEDIA, and that's looking ahead to the future. How will these floods now affect the ski season? Maybe not in a way you would think of necessarily. For instance, if you saw the photos of Okemo and their access road being all covered in mud, big old mudslide, water, all that stuff, will that be cleaned up? Yes, 100%. That'll be cleaned up. The main highway will be cleaned up. Same, around Killington, around Magic, around Bali. These main highways and all the other roads should be cleaned up unless we get more catastrophic rain or whatever they're calling it. Yeah, most of it will be cleaned up long before you get to, the season. However, and I don't know if this is how it would be done. I don't know if it would just be, all right, everybody gets overtime, work as many hours as you want, or if they have to pull workers off of other projects. And were those projects delayed anyway and damaged? Like, there was a bridge being repaired over by the, on Killington on Route 4 by the Skyship Gondola. There's a bridge right there, right at the gondola that had a temporary bridge next to it. So you kind of had to do what is that called in racing? A chicane, maybe? I don't know, over this temporary bridge. And as they were rebuilding the permanent bridge, and I don't know if either of those bridges even exist anymore. Who knows with all of that? I didn't see everything. There was so much damage here, there, and everywhere. It was hard to keep up with who had what, when, and where, and why. Excuse me. But if those projects are hindered, well, here's another great example. Right outside of SKIREXMEDIA HQ, right up the road, I can see it from here. We're getting a bridge in our town, a fairly well-traveled bridge, an important bridge, especially for use with EMS. We're getting it replaced. They're going to build a new bridge, take down the old one, the way I understand it. And the crews that are doing the building have built a temporary bridge basically at the surface of the White River. This is like the second or third time that temporary bridge has been washed away. Not to mention the things they can't do while it has been raining. So our bridge, which could have been a lot further along, is not. And it's just getting harder and harder. And I guess the last time, this other day, when the temporary bridge got washed away, the workers could do nothing but stand there and watch. That's all they could do as the White River, just come down from the west and heading east into the Connecticut River and just took the bridge with it, just took it down. And so with other projects being hindered in an effort to fix what this has done, the damage this has done, the damage no one saw coming, those might be hindered. So what does that mean? You don't have to wait until the season. If you're coming up now for a little off-season shenanigans to Vermont or even New Hampshire or New York, just be mindful. Check Google Maps if that's what you use. Apple Maps, I'm sure, has the same thing. Tons of different resources. Go online, look it up, make some phone calls. If you have a 411, 511, 611, 711, whatever your 11 number is that isn't 911, to get information about these things, check that as you come up here, because you might not be able to get to where you want to go. This weekend, the 14th, the 15th, and 16th, I have friends who are in the area from out of town, or in Vermont from out of town. And I had a couple of ideas of things we could go do. And we can't do those things right now because you can't get to them. And so, be mindful. And again, by the time you hear this, by the time you get there, the damage from the storms might be done, depending on, again, what the weekend holds. As you're listening to this in the future from when I'm recording it, we don't know what that holds yet, but be mindful, man. If you come up, just be mindful. Similarly to don't go to places where you don't belong, just to stay safe and let the professionals and the locals do the work they need to do to get everything cleaned up, dealt with, and done. Let them do that. Stay out of there if you can help it. Fight the temptation to go get a selfie with deranging waters, be safe. Just be mindful of what's out there. That's what I was getting at. Be mindful, go around it best you can, and if you do have to put off your trip up here, maybe it's better. I'm sure some people have canceled trips up here because of this already. If you have to keep doing it, I know it sucks. I hate canceling trips too, but it better to be safe than sorry. Am I right? I think I am. So will we be ready for the season? Yes. Is Vermont putting itself back together fairly quickly? I think so. It looks like everything's moving along, quite nicely. I've seen videos that have been posted on social media, same as you. I've had people send me videos that I know personally of the things they find, the work that's being done, the places that were, 2-3 feet underwater the other day that are now, dried up. The waters are receding. The question is, will they stay receded through the weekend, dependent on these thunderstorms and more rain that's coming through here? Tell you what, at least we're not in a drought, I guess. I always try to be positive, man. And joking. Earlier in the week, I made a joke about how my off-season shenanigans were going to include building an ark, as in Noah's Ark, as in biblical level flooding. And that's before I knew we were going to get some, not biblical level, but some serious flooding. So I had no idea that was actually coming. No one did. No one saw this coming, man. So just be mindful of it. Just be, check ahead of time. Don't wait till you get here. And if you know someone here, ask them, hey, can we get to your house? Is that even possible? And they will tell you yes or no. So there you go, man. The flooding, it could have been worse, but it definitely does suck. And we shout out to, homes that were damaged. Again, haven't heard any as of yet that have been destroyed, which is great. Destroyed sucks. Damaged, totally repairable. Not that destroyed isn't repairable, but you know what I mean. There's different levels. Like if something's destroyed and you have to start from scratch, that sucks. If you have to do some other things inside the house, but the house still stands, that's fine. Same with the businesses, the buildings affected, the roads, they can be repaired. Again, no deaths reported, no huge amount of serious injuries. I haven't heard any serious injuries. And again, this is on the Thursday after it all happened. It is the 13th. And again, you're listening to this in the future on the 16th or the 19th or even further down the line. And, I want you to have your summer, but just be mindful of what's going on around you and what's going on in the world and here in Vermont and New Hampshire and New York and other places that got wrecked by rain. I've heard of a few places like me that had 8, 9, 10 inches of rain, whatever it was, 9 inches. I don't think I've seen a 10 yet, somewhere in the 9s, and fared fine. Other places didn't do so well. Dams breaking, dams cresting, all that good stuff. So just be mindful of it where you're visiting. Send shout outs, when you can. Help if you're able. But again, balance that help. Is your help going to make it more dangerous, or is it going to make it worse in any way? It's totally okay to take a step back if, you know for a fact you're going to be more of a hindrance than a help. And that's just assessment, that's just the people who know what they're doing assessing the situation, right? Right. Speaking of infrastructure repair, here's a little bonus for you because I've been seeing this week too. The out there at Little Cottonwood Canyon, is that it out there in Utah? They've decided they're going to build a gondola to ease up the traffic out there, man. And that's all well and good, I guess. Not my first choice, not what I would have gone with personally. I will say that I am not an engineer. I am not an infrastructure specialist. I am not a city planner. In fact, the only real experience I have in infrastructure, maintenance, building, planning, all that stuff is from playing the video game Cities Skylines. So I have really no idea what I'm talking about, but I'll pretend that I do. Shout out to the publishers of City Skylines and City Skylines 2 coming out this fall if you play those games. I don't know if you do. I love it. It's like SimCity, but I prefer it. I think it has more to it. Anyway, I wouldn't have picked the gondola first, but again, like I said, doesn't matter. Not an infrastructure specialist. My thing is, and I've seen some of the arguments for, against, whatever it is, and believe me, some of y'all need to learn how to debate better. I'm not going to say I'm the best debater in the world, but I'm okay. I'm good. I do okay. But kidding aside, all the arguments, left, right, or straight, it really doesn't matter. It's what's the exit strategy? See, the number I saw was close to like $750 million, something like that, $700 million, I think it was. Some huge number, I think. And my thing is, that's a gamble. This is a gamble. Public transportation is always a gamble. The gamble is, will people use it or not? And if they don't, what's the exit strategy? How do we get out and recoup as much as we can, as quickly as we can? And that would go double for a project like this. That's like 10 years out. I think that's what I saw. Like 2035 was something. There was something about 2035. So we're talking a ways out. And I wouldn't have gambled that. I wouldn't make that bet. Because, again, I don't know if it'll work. It says it's going to be very low on environmental impact. They have the whole thing set up for parking lots and tolls and the whole nine. And it can move 1,000 people an hour. I don't know if that's enough. I have seen some people say that's totally fine. I've seen others who have said there's no chance in hell that 1,000 people an hour is good enough. I don't know. Some have pointed out that while gondolas of this type are designed to be out in the weather, that the weather could still affect it. And then if it's open more often than not, or not open as much as it should be, what's the strategy? My thing is this. For an example, I would have gone with buses, because if buses, we probably not be able to get them all this season, but we definitely have them for next. Done, cheaper probably. Even the new electrics, if you want some electrics, but we have electric buses. Our local company has a few, and they look great. And it's kind of cool because they just kind of hover and hum down the road. They don't make any noise except a little bit of road noise. It is very cool. And they look good. I like where the battery placement is. It adds to the body and it looks great, I think. Not that aesthetics is the point, but I think they look great. In any case, if you want to go electric, you could get them quickly. And if it fails, you could sell them probably equally as quickly, and recoup some of what you lost. And, but again, don't know what I'm talking about. I've never been there. I've never been in the state of Utah. My infrastructure experience is video games, city builder video games. Like I said, City Skylines. Not an engineer. Don't know anything. No, I do know from living in East Coast urban areas, specifically New Jersey. I understand what heavy traffic is. I understand gridlock traffic. I know that no matter what the road out there to Little Cottonwood Canyon looks like, out there, even if you widened it to like 30 lanes, it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't save anything. You just wouldn't. And, so it makes, I don't know. That's what I would have gone with, because with the gamble and needing to get out, if you need to get out, if it fails, you got to get out. And what's the easiest way to get out? What's the way that'll recruit the best? And again, they say the gondola won't have much environmental, problems, but if it fails and you have to take it back down, you're now, not only doing an environmental upset building the thing, which is fine. These people know what they're talking about. Not an environmental specialist, don't know. They know what they're talking about. If you want to be the kind of jerk that says, well, corrupt government, that's fine too. I've seen that locally. So it does happen. So what do I know? But I'm not there. Like I said, I don't know. I can only speak to what I see with fact, or I can only speak matter of factly about stuff that I can actually see, touch, and be part of. This, I don't know. But people are weighing in. I figure I'd weigh in. This happened last week. They talked about it, or the media started talking about it. So if it works, great. I don't want them to have traffic either. It seems to me, again, video game infrastructure experience, but it's because there's one road in and one road out. It's all the same road. So that's why it's like that. Some would suggest it's, maybe they should limit tickets for a day up there. What is that? Alta and Snowbird, and, do whatever you got to do. I say if there's a bus, take it. If you can get a ride with somebody, do that. And you know what? You might help. I know it's cold and I know it might be dangerous, but get a few people up there on motorcycles that are, more off to the side. Don't take up as much parking lot room. Don't take up as much room on the highway. It's cold, but it's doable. I don't know. What do I know? Hope they got it all sorted out there. It'll be interesting to see where it goes. In any case, that's my 2 cents on that. That's my 2 cents on the flooding. Again, Vermont will be ready for the season. Just be mindful when you come up what road projects had to take a back seat to the repairs. So there might be, some a little extra traffic here, speaking of traffic, because of construction work that will have to either continue as late as they can into the season or be put on hold for the winter to be picked back up in the spring, right? Right. I am Tim from SKIREXMEDIA, coming at you with the off-season Shenanigans program. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe or follow, depending on the app you use, and the SKIREXMEDIA podcast. Both the off-season Shenanigans and the regular season show are available on many, many, many podcast apps and platforms. Specifically Podbean, because that's my host, podbean.com, but you can use it on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, not Stitcher because they're closing, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon, all these places. You can definitely find the SKIREXMEDIA podcast. Take a look and listen. And like I said, follow, subscribe, check out my social media. I don't do a lot there, right? I haven't been doing a lot there recently, but I do on Thursday, the Throwback Thursday bit. So you get some past episodes that you might have missed. But again, if you subscribe and or follow, depending on what your app says, you get them right away. You'll know they are there. You can also go to SKIREXMEDIA.com, check out a few things there. That's in the process of being rebuilt again. I think I finally found a design I like. There you can sign up for the newsletter, which is going to be restarting soon. I haven't been doing a lot with that because I felt like SKIREXMEDIA might be a little boring right now, but I have some new ideas, and that's where I'm going to start sharing them. There's also the Patreon, patreon.com/SKIREXMEDIA. Tiers for everybody, 7-day free trials. Check that out. They start at $1. If you love SKIREXMEDIA and you want to support the cause, the program, again, the program without ads over there, and a few extra tidbits as I put them up that you don't see on social media or anywhere else, right? Right. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for playing along, my friends, and I will see you on the next one. I will write it down. In 2 weeks, you will get a new episode. That will happen. Thank you for listening, and I will see you out there during the summer, the fall, or even the winter. Thanks, everybody. Later.